Hi everybody. So thanks very much. My name's Tim Rose. So I aim to inspire use of digital to enhance teaching, learning, assessment in all people that I work with. When I saw the schedule for today, I was a little bit nervous because I remember back to something I'd heard about the Australian parole system, the fact that you were statistically less likely to get parole if you were seen by the board just before lunch versus those that were seen first thing in the morning. So hopefully those snacks that you had just now came in handy. Okay, so yeah, I'm talking about, we've actually changed the name this year. We've changed it to, or for next year, we've changed it to Digital Core because the focus seems to be on digital at the minute. So I think I'm the odd one out here. Is there anyone else here from FE? Is everyone here from HE? Anyone from FE? No, just me? Good, okay. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about study programs quickly. So study programs is something that's been introduced over the last few years. So in the past, learners who would be joining us on level 1 through 3 programs, which is equivalent to Key Stage 3 through 5, would just do a vocational subject. But what the government decided was that they wanted them to have more value, and so therefore they were enrolled onto what's now known as study programs, where you do your main vocational qualification, and then you also do some maths and English development, some enrichment, and also some work experience. We call our study programs the Futures programs, and we've actually developed as part of that a core program as well, where we teach learners about citizen skills, British values, how to manage your finances. And it was around sort of early this time last year that I lobbied our senior management team to include the eCore elements of that as well. And it was as part of the digital strategy that I was writing at the time. So I came up with the idea of the digital curriculum, and it was established to increase levels of digital capability in learners. I'd noticed myself through nearly 10 years of teaching that there was a dip in the level of digital literacy in learners. There was an assumption that because they were digital natives, that they would know what they were doing. Obviously, we all know that's not the case. And actually speaking to friends and family who are working in schools as well, they were saying they were also noticing a massive dip in terms of the kind of the skills, especially as newer learners were coming through and they were only used to interacting with devices firsthand. You know, it's not that long since iPads came out, and they're used to kind of interacting with things with devices primarily, not through a keyboard and mouse. So that was my argument first and foremost. It was going to be delivered as part of the college's core program, and it was developed by my team, the Technology Enhanced Learning team, in collaboration with the curriculum leadership and student services as well. So why did we go about this? Well, we decided first and foremost, or I decided as part of my research, I looked at the good old FELTAG report. How many people are familiar with FELTAG, the Further Education Learning Technologies Action Group? Yeah, so there's a couple of key points that I picked out from there. The fact that, you know, we want to empower learners to exploit their own understanding of technology to enhance their own learning. But then there's also secondary points in there as well, which I took away. The fact that the entire workforce needs to be brought up to speed when it comes to digital literacy. So there were a couple of points moving forward. And then following on from Gillian's comments earlier as well, I was glad to see it. She mentioned the Make or Break report because this is something that I've been using quite a lot. I've been taking direct quotes from this to really kind of bang the drum in terms of improving levels of digital literacy. I really like this kind of call to action, the fact that we must aspire for the vast majority of the population to achieve the level of digital literacy needed to fully participate in society. And education needs a greater emphasis on providing every citizen with adaptable digital skills. So these few points really gave me the grounding first and foremost to take this to the senior management team and the curriculum teams as well and present this as a valuable idea moving forward. But if I needed a little bit more persuasion as well, I also had the Education Technology Action Group report, which referred to Ofsted and QAA as well. So that usually kind of inspires a little bit of action on that part as well. As part of my research, I've been very heavily reliant on resources from JISC, and this was one of the resources that I came across, and this really kind of gave me the groundwork, the foundation moving forward for how I was going to actually create the digital core program. When I first looked at this, I thought there's no way I can present this in its current form to either my staff or the learners. I think they'd run a mile. So I really had to kind of take this as a starting point and bring it back. In terms of selling the idea, I teach business as well. So I used Kit Sagrove's business risk management book. He's got a real kind of simple guide for change management. And he says there's five groups of people that you need to account for whenever you're making any kind of change. So first and foremost, the customers. So in this instance, the learners. They benefit from increased innovative use of learning technologies. Simple. Individuals feel more confident in their application of digital skills, and that's individuals in terms of the learners themselves, but also the staff as well. We're hoping to inspire staff overall to become more digitally literate. Teams will see greater consistency in methods of working and sharing resources through digital means. We're always getting feedback from learners, and one of the things that we got a few years ago was the frustration of the learners that they were getting their resources online from different sources. So some staff would be using the VLE, other staff would be kind of using Google Mail, some staff would be using Smoke Signal, and it generally really confused them. So they wanted everything in a consistent manner. The college stays ahead of the curve, which I think we're doing at the minute. I know looking forward, there's nothing at the minute about digital literacy being part of the core programme, certainly in FE, so I feel we are ahead of the curve there at the minute. And hopefully society receives a graduating workforce that have the skills necessary to flourish in the future. So that was my way of selling it to both senior management and to staff as well. And then obviously Ofsted as well. We are kind of not a slave to Ofsted, but we do have to think about what Ofsted are going to do when they come in. So there's no specific mentions really regarding learning technologies in Ofsted. So I kind of went through and I picked out a couple of various different points. So obviously they're talking here where relevant English, mathematics and other skills necessary. I think you can interpret that as being digital skills. We're also looking there for the new kind of hot topic, personal development, behaviour and welfare, becoming a successful learner, and then obviously linking to education and the future. So this is what Digital Core looks like for us. This is our first year of delivering the core. The way we've got it structured, we have one session in the first term, 2 in the second term, and then 2 in the third term as well. So this, like I say, this goes in with a whole load of other core topics such as sexuality, diversity, ageism, health, safe driving, that kind of thing. So we really need to pitch it at a level that the learners are going to engage with the content. And it's quite difficult as well because we're delivering this across levels 1 through 3. So you've got some learners on level 1 who are likely never to progress beyond level 1. But then at the same time, you've got learners who, in level 3, who are going to be going on to university. So it's really quite difficult to differentiate that content accordingly. So thinking about the kind of the pitfalls as well, and we not just want to go out there and say digital, digital, digital. You need to be thinking about digital all the time. We wanted to have a look and see, what we need to kind of advise learners about. And this came from the Ofcom report. 60% of 16 to 24-year-olds think they spend too much time online, so that was an issue that we wanted to address. 38% say they're very or completely hooked on their preferred internet-enabled device. And then 72% of 16 to 24-year-olds said they've missed out on sleep due to online activity. So these were all things that I certainly was very conscious of, and because I'm so kind of digitally orientated, I didn't just want to be saying, right, go out and be using this all the time. We need to encourage responsible use of digital technologies as well. So that was something that really kind of went into the Digital Core programme. So the first session, Digital Me, starts out really simply. We ask people, how they think they're different from anyone else online. We encourage debate amongst the learners. And then we get them to engage in a Kahoot quiz where we talk about various different stats relating to social media. And as part of that quiz, we kind of ask them how long they think their posts and their photographs last on social media. And you'd be quite surprised by some of the responses from that, as I'm sure you can imagine. I use the Digital Sisters content on YouTube. Has anyone seen that? So yeah, it's really good. These guys produce short videos, just basically for teenage audience, just advising them about how their content is viewed online and how to act accordingly. And then we did an exercise where we tried to relate it to real world cases. Does anyone remember this person? Yeah, who's this person? Paris Brown, yes. Yeah, okay, so this was the UK's first youth police commissioner for Kent Police, and she's there with the Kent Police Commissioner, and they paraded her on the news and social media as being a kind of a real success story. And does anyone remember what happened to Paris Brown? Sorry? She didn't last very long. How long did she last? Yeah, it was a week. Yeah, so a week afterwards she was forced to resign. Does anyone know why she was forced to resign? Yeah, so the Express and the Mail reported on her, and then obviously every other news outlet reported on her having racist and homophobic tweets on her Twitter feed. Yeah, she was promptly forced to resign, which obviously very, very unfortunate for her. This happened 4 years ago, and as part of this exercise, we actually get the learners to Google Paris Brown now to see what they can find out about her, and they were quite shocked at what came up at the top, because the internet never forgets. So, in terms of keeping up to date, so like I say, we've in our first year of this, but recently the digital strategy was published by the government. So we're starting to take some key points from that into account as well. The fact that within 20 years, 90% of all jobs will require some element of digital skills. This is all statistics that we relay back to staff as well, just so they're aware of what's going on. Newly formed Council for Digital Inclusion, coding clubs implemented across the country at primary and secondary school level. Unfortunately, being an FE, we often get forgotten, and again, this is one of those situations here where we're really concerned that learners are going to be joining the college, having gone through secondary school and had exposure to coding clubs, and then they come to us and they get nothing. So we want to make sure we've got some provision in place for them so that they continue that if they so desire. An estimated 1.2 new technical and digitally skilled people are needed by 2022 to satisfy future skills needs. I've actually got some contrary statistics on that as well from the shadow government. And then introduction of extracurricular cyber schools programme for 14 to 18-year-olds to provide specialist cyber security education for highly motivated students. So we're just in the process of trying to see if we can get some money so that we can do the same thing as well, because obviously it's saying here that we've got 14 to 18-year-olds. I'm not sure the extent to which the government's actually thought about the GFE sector in that context. So this is actually one of the slides that we include in both the staff and the student core sessions. So February 2017, there are 31.84 million adults in the UK. Of those, 12.5 million lack basic digital skills. So a real kind of black hole in that sense. I'll let you guys take pictures of that before I move on. Hope you're losing your office lens. By 2022, there will be 15 million high-skilled jobs available in the UK, but there will be a shortage of 3 million highly skilled people to fill them. So obviously that's a little bit different to what the current government was saying actually as part of the digital strategy. And then conversely, 9 million people will be chasing 3 million low-paid jobs. So from our point of view, this is a real talking point, because we want to make sure that we're giving our learners the right advice so that they know they're chasing the right jobs and the right level of employment in the future, and that they're not just taking for granted the types of jobs that will be available to them once they graduate, whether that's going straight into employment, onto an apprenticeship, or into higher education. In terms of what we're required to do, we're going to be, the lifelong learning sector, the FE sector is going to be required to give core training for digital skills, just like we do with literacy and numeracy at the minute. Has everyone heard of the T-levels or the technical routes that are going to be implemented by 2019? Yeah, a couple of people. So this is going to be the kind of the counter qualification to A levels. So you're going to have A levels for kind of academic qualifications, then T levels for technical qualifications, and there's going to be a massive emphasis on digital skills and digital delivery as part of that as well. So our sector needs to be very, very aware of that. And then also diversity as well. Diversity is a massive issue. Women are massively unrepresented in the digital sector, so it's something that as a college we're very, very conscious of, and we're actively trying to counter. So it's been really, really encouraging hearing about you know, the things like the iChamps and the DigiBirds and the general kind of digital student support. We're actually implementing our own version of that. They're called Student Digital Activators. We've just hired 4 students across 2 of our main campuses, and they're going to be helping us with recruitment moving into the next academic year. So we're hoping to have a team of about 12 students with that for next year, and we're actively kind of seeking female members of that group, so we're addressing the diversity gap there as well. So this is one of the recent sessions that I've delivered, and it's one of my favourites. Oh. So Future Shark, talking about what's going to happen in the future and how it's going to affect employment. So we show a short TED presentation on the jobs we'll lose to machines and the ones we won't. We have an interactive quiz that the learners engage with, where we say, these are jobs that are currently available. Do you think they'll be automated or not in the future? And that gets some quite interesting results as well. We also provide opportunities for them to improve their digital skills, so we signpost them to things like Google Garage and the Microsoft Online digital training. We actually get our digital learning design apprenticeships to do the Microsoft Innovative Educator training as well, which I don't know if anyone's done that. It's really, really good. And we also direct them to the European Commission for Digital Literacy, their online test. I think it's a little bit outdated now, but it at least gives the learners a little bit of an idea of where they are in terms of their digital literacy. It gives them a starting point moving forward. So, in terms of what we've done and how this has come across, we've recently been Ofsteded, and I was really pleased to see these comments as part of our report. So learners know how to develop themselves, keep themselves safe. They have a good understanding of personal safety, including digital and online safety, and know how to raise concerns should they have any. I think that was really important when we set out on this journey of producing the Digital Core programme. It was all about giving those learners the awareness of how they interact online and whether or not they're keeping themselves safe. So it was really it was just great to get that kind of acknowledgement from Ofsted inspectors. And learners use technology well to develop their independent learning skills. The virtual learning environment has a range of resources uploaded by teachers that are extremely useful in extending learners' knowledge. So yeah, I think overall, I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. It's by no means perfect at this point, but I think for a year into the project, we're really pleased with the results so far. So any questions or comments?
I think the first thing I'd like to say is I think we'd probably like to have any of your students coming to our universities in the future. If you've done that for them before they arrive, it'll probably address some of the issues we've been talking about in the last few days. So please, can your students apply to
Yeah, of course.
Mine first.
Okay.
Okay. Any comments or questions from anybody? We've got some microphones around if anyone's got any questions. We've got 5 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes to have an early break if need be. Okay, we've got a microphone somewhere to wave across there.
Interested to hear about the T levels. I was just wondering if you could go, explain a little bit more about them and what they'll be doing and be made up of.
Yeah, so I think basically, I mean, it's still kind of very much up in the air, but the proposal is that the government will introduce qualifications that more robustly assess technical specialisations in subjects. So there's still going to be room for vocational qualifications. So, for example, arts and humanities, that kind of thing. But there's certain subjects that will be going on to technical or T levels. So I think things like IT, for example. Yeah.
that just seems a bit bonkers, given that that's what BTECs and Sitting Guilds courses are for. I don't understand. We had that. Why are they...
Yeah.
I did a BTEC in engineering. I've been through it at FE. I'm just like... Oh.
Any more questions or comments? Yeah.
My son's at secondary school, and they do, I think it's called citizenship. I think it was called something else when I was at school, you know, personal development, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
and they
PSHE when I did it.
Yeah, whatever it's called. And they do a lot of digital skills, awareness, identity and stuff. But I was just thinking in FE, it's often you're streamed, you might be doing like a BTEC or an A-level, you're doing your subjects and that's it, and there's no room for sort of, you know, common studies or whatever it's called. How do you fit that in? And the other kind of question is the students, as we've got an election coming up, as some of the students turn 18 and may be eligible to vote, do they get anything about the echo chamber effect of social media as well?
Yeah,
Which
okay.
seems to be new, although I think there was always an echo chamber with, if you read a particular newspaper, you only saw the views you wanted to see, if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that's changed.
So to answer your first question, I think the reason why the government kind of moved us towards the study programme format is because learners were very much like, well, I'm not bothered about politics because I'm studying travel and tourism. And they didn't see like kind of the link between those things, and that's why they said, right, okay, well, we need to move away from this I'm here on a travel and tourism qualification to I'm here on a study programme, and it just so happens to be that my main qualification is travel and tourism, but in addition to that, I also go off and do some literacy and numeracy, I do work experience, I do enrichment on a weekly basis, and we also attend core programmes as well, where we focus on just those topics. So obviously when the government called the... It's been a bit of a battle. We generally get good attendance anyway because, I mean, if you're kind of looking at the demographics, we've got sort of half the national standard of learners that would be eligible for free school lunches. So from a kind of a demographic point of view, we get learners that come to us from a fairly kind of stable background, if you want to kind of look at it from a general point of view. So yeah, our attendance generally isn't bad, but it has been a bit of a battle over the last sort of 3 or 4 years whilst we've introduced that. We try to be ahead of the curve, so we actually introduced our Futures programme, which is our study programmes, a year before the government said we had to, because we knew it was coming and we knew it would be difficult. So we started it a year earlier, and as a result of that, we've been quite successful. And then your next question was...
The echo chamber effect, of, you know, as the students come up, and possibly some of them be eligible to vote.
Yeah, so as part of the study programmes, every group has a student performance manager allocated to them, and those student performance managers meet regularly to discuss the topics that are going to be going into the core programme. So I was recently really lucky to be able to go along to one of the planning sessions because I was able to comment on the digital core content, but I actually witnessed what was going on as they were kind of reacting to the news of the snap election, and the person who kind of leads that side of it was saying, right, okay, I think these are the sorts of things we need to be looking at, and they were updating all the content accordingly. So yeah, we do try to address that in our learners.
Any further questions?
Could you just tell us how many of your 12 student digital activators are female, and do you have any tips on how to recruit more female students into similar roles?
So I've only got 4 at the minute, and so I've got 4 in total, two of which are female. I'm hoping to have 12 by the beginning of the next academic year. Yeah. So the hardest thing that I've found so far is recruitment, which I think is what you were saying as well, is the difficulty is actually getting them in the first instance. So what we do now is we offer them various incentives. So the time they put into that comes off of the enrichment portion of their study programme. So any hours they put into it, they then don't have to go and attend another enrichment activity. That is their enrichment. We also spoke to them as well, and we knew we were going to get them some kind of tech, so we bought them all Amazon Fire Kindle tablets. So you can get them relatively cheap. We pick them up for, I think, about £40. And then they also said they wanted some kind of uniform as well, so we've got them branded hoodies as well. So when they're in their activator mode, they have their branded hoodies and they've got their tablets and they're clearly identifiable. So they are actually. Yeah, good. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So we're going to be doing, as part of our freshers fortnight that we have at the beginning of the academic year, we're going to be doing various different recruitment drives and trying to get people involved. But it's easy to attract people from, say, an IT course or a media course, but actually, like at Abingdon and Witney College, we've got several different campuses, one of which is a farm. It's really, really difficult to attract female people from there who feel confident enough. So part of what I need to do is spend time with them and give them the confidence to be able to execute that role, you know, and feel comfortable doing it as well. Good.
No further questions. Thank you very much for a fascinating talk.
Thanks very much.